This isn't about something current. It's about an event that occurred 6 years ago. Back then, my first wife, Lisa, who had left me for a younger man, reappeared after 6 years. At the time, I was 41 years old, married, and had a beautiful daughter who was turning one soon. This story takes us back to my early 30s when I was married to my first wife, Lisa. I was 29 when I first met Lisa, who was 23 at the time. We met at a party and immediately clicked. Lisa was just beginning her career as a fashion designer, while I was venturing into entrepreneurship after 5 years in the software industry. My company wasn't making me millions, but it was doing fairly well for a newcomer, providing enough revenue for a good life. The exact details are a bit fuzzy due to the passage of time, but after a few months of dating, Lisa moved into my apartment. I was living alone at the time. She was an enchanting woman. Looking back, I realized that one of the primary reasons I fell for her was her vibrant personality. She was outgoing and stunningly attractive. Even at our first encounter at that party, she stood out. I admit it might sound shallow, but when you're young, and 29 is still quite young, maturity often comes later, as I learned. We dated for 2 years and then had an extravagant wedding. Lisa wanted a fairy tale wedding. She was obsessed with perfection. She had been planning her dream wedding since she was a little girl. I remember it because it was a significant dent in my finances, though I didn't fully grasp it at the time. I was too busy trying to be the perfect boyfriend/husband for Lisa, LOL. The first 2 years of our marriage were smooth sailing. I can't recall any major arguments during that period. However, things began to change after our second anniversary when Lisa joined a master's program in fashion. She had aspirations of working in Hollywood, or at least for a television network. In college, she befriended a young crowd in their early 20s with no work experience. They were youthful and unbridled, which excited Lisa. She started talking about marrying too young and such. Initially, I dismissed it as a temporary case of FOMO, fear of missing out. I believed she'd eventually get over it and realize that there were more important things in life beyond partying and casual flings. Instead of getting over it, she got deeper into that lifestyle. She began staying out late, going on hikes, and having endless sleepovers. During those days, my business was in its early stages, and I was primarily focused on solving business challenges because I thought my personal life was running smoothly. It was an 18-month program, and I expected her to move on from that lifestyle once she completed her studies. However, even after graduating, she continued down that path. During the same period, my business suffered significant losses, and I found myself drowning in debt. Instead of offering support, she seemed to ridicule my choice of running a company, forgetting that I had been covering her expenses throughout her master's program. Even when she was working before, her income was far less than mine, so I had shouldered the household responsibilities and allowed her to use that money for herself. There was a guy from her master's program who landed an assistant job at one of the top designer houses in town. Lisa developed strong feelings for this man. She started drawing comparisons between me and him, from his early career success to his decision-making skills, sense of humor, and even physical fitness. Back then, I used to work 12, 14 hours a day to establish my business and often neglected my health. Not recommended. I didn't have a perfectly toned body or a chiseled jawline, but I wasn't overweight either. Admittedly, I was extremely busy and fatigued from work, which she found uninteresting. Eventually, she found comfort in that guy. He was an intern and had plenty of time to spend with Lisa. Perhaps he had a good sense of humor or other qualities she sought. One day, I returned home to find a note on my refrigerator. The message was something like this. "I'm sorry I can't face you, so I'm leaving this note. I don't love you anymore. I'm moving to LA with Leo, the guy. He makes me happy and laugh, which you don't. Please don't call me, I won't answer. I'm gone." These may not be the exact words, but they capture the essence. I was devastated, and my world turned upside down. However, as they say, tough times pass. I channeled my grief into my business, and it was during that time that my business began to flourish rapidly. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. 2 years later, I met Sophie at a business meeting. We became friends, started dating, and now we're happily married with a 10-month-old daughter. Life couldn't be better. Sophie possesses all the qualities that Lisa lacked. She's kind, compassionate, and most importantly, she's my friend. I had almost forgotten the details I just shared until last week. Something happened that triggered these memories. Lisa reappeared in my life, Yes, my first wife who left me for a younger man showed up at my office seeking help. Initially, I couldn't recognize her as the gorgeous Lisa I once knew. She looked pale and miserable, with a 3-year-old daughter and an infant, probably only a few months old. If I hadn't spotted her in the waiting area, I might have denied meeting her. She appeared truly pitiful. The moment she entered my office, she broke down, leaving her daughter waiting in the lobby. She entered with her infant son, repeatedly apologizing and crying as if in immense pain. Seeing her after 6 long years was incredibly emotional. The last time I saw her, I loved her, but now we were meeting as strangers with nothing in between. I hadn't had the chance to either hate her or witness her evil side. She explained that when she returned home, she discovered the house had been sold, the house where Lisa and I used to live, which I had sold. After marrying Sophie, my second wife, I had purchased a bigger house with better amenities in a superior neighborhood. Lisa was unaware of my marriage status. She shared that Leo had mistreated her after their daughter's birth and suspected he had cheated on her during her pregnancy. When she confronted him, he insulted and mocked her for her age and fading beauty as he was 6 years younger. Struggling to make a decent living and dependent on him, she endured his nonsense. She described her second pregnancy and childbirth as pathetic, with Leo not even showing up at the hospital. He used derogatory names like fat aunt and oldie. Feeling humiliated, she decided to leave LA and abandoned him as well. While I had once wished for her to have a miserable life after she left me, hearing about her actual misery didn't bring me satisfaction. It made me feel sorry for her. She entered an apologetic mode and pleaded for forgiveness, attributing her misfortune to karma for hurting me. She admitted to being young and immature, unable to distinguish between the right and wrong people back then. I reassured her and forgave her, informing her that I had moved on. She grabbed my hands, crying, and begged me to take her back, promising to be the best wife. I withdrew my hand and revealed that I was already married and had a child, turning a family photo frame toward her. She looked at it closely and cried again. I didn't know what else to say, so I remained silent. She stood up and expressed that I was her last hope, but seeing the picture, it seemed she had none left. I remained silent, and she left. After Lisa departed, I promptly called Sophie and shared everything with her. I couldn't concentrate at work, and I was undeniably saddened. Sophie tried to comfort me, reminding me that I wasn't responsible for Lisa's troubles. She had brought them upon herself. I agreed with her. I know Lisa was the cause of her own misery. I expected Lisa to contact me again, but she never did. I have no idea where she is now. I've moved on and love Sophie and my daughter, but I can't stop thinking about Lisa and the unfortunate situation she's facing. I've discussed this with Sophie extensively over the past week. I know Sophie is more of a friend to me than just a wife, but I don't want to burden her by constantly talking about Lisa. She's a secure woman, but still human. I don't want her to think I'm still concerned about Lisa. I have no feelings for Lisa anymore, but her sudden reappearance and the revelation of her tragic life have left me disturbed. Update. It's been over 5 months since I shared the story of my ex-wife, who had left me without explanation, returning to my life and asking me to take her back. After I informed her of my second wife and daughter, she left and didn't contact me until a few days ago when she showed up at my office. I was in a meeting when my assistant delivered a note saying that Lisa, my ex-wife, was waiting for me. Despite the importance of the meeting, hearing her name made it impossible for me to concentrate. I ended the meeting and went to see her. Lisa appeared even more distressed than the last time we met. She explained that upon learning of my marriage, she had returned to Leo. But her situation had only worsened. She recently discovered that Leo was involved with other women from his workplace. When she confronted him about his infidelity, he confessed to having multiple affairs, claiming that Lisa was no longer young and attractive to him. She revealed that things had escalated to the point where he physically assaulted her. Lisa requested financial assistance from me, explaining that she had been searching for a job but had not been successful. She hadn't worked for the past 3 years since becoming pregnant with her first child, and the employment gap was hindering her job prospects. Adding to her woes, she disclosed that Leo had never married her, as he didn't believe in marriage. He had manipulated her into this arrangement when they began dating, which is why she had previously referred to me as rudimentary. Now, she regretted this decision because, without marriage, She wouldn't be entitled to any financial support if they separated. If they had been married, she could have received alimony. I inquired about the amount she needed, but she remained silent. I decided to write her a check for $30,000, expressing that this was the extent of my help. I suggested she use it to rent a motel and start anew, recommending that she consider any job to sustain her lifestyle, even if it wasn't in the fashion industry. She thanked me for the money and left. This time, I hesitated to inform Sophie about my encounter with Lisa, but after much consideration, I decided to share it with her to avoid any potential strain on our relationship. When I returned home that day, Sophie noticed my tension and asked if something was bothering me. I told her about Lisa's request for money. Sophie's reaction was reserved. She didn't comment on the money, but cautioned me against making it a habit for Lisa to borrow from me. I didn't get upset with Sophie because I understood her concerns, and it was a natural reaction on her part. I reassured her that I had no lingering feelings for Lisa, and that I had assisted her solely due to her desperate situation. Sophie felt a bit down initially, but quickly recovered. Update. I want to address some comments that have been made in the discussion section. Some of you have suggested that I might still have feelings for Lisa and could potentially take her back or cheat on Sophie with her. Let me clarify that there's absolutely no truth to these assumptions. Perhaps I was simply surprised by Lisa's unexpected appearance, as I had never anticipated her showing up in such a condition. Even during our subsequent meeting, I wasn't enthusiastic about seeing her. I helped her out as I would have helped any other person in need. While I've moved on, I haven't forgotten how she used to treat me so poorly, belittling and ultimately leaving me, especially considering all I had done for her. That period was the most challenging phase of my life. It's never easy to be abandoned after 4 years of marriage. So, rest assured, I have no intention of jeopardizing my wonderful life with Sophie. I'm well aware of the boundaries I need to maintain with Lisa. I want to emphasize that this isn't a negative response to anyone's comments. I simply wanted to clarify my stance, and I'll provide further updates if there are any significant developments. Update. I appreciate all of your comments, which have helped keep me grounded and accountable. Following my clarification in the last update, I also discussed this matter with Sophie. I assured her of my unwavering love and commitment to our marriage. While she is a secure woman, I wanted to ensure there were no doubts about my intentions. Sharing my feelings with her felt incredibly liberating. Sophie mentioned that she trusted me, but had concerns about the possibility of me reconciling with Lisa. Sophie was there for me during my lowest moments, and she is the mother of my daughter. I could never let her down. A week later, I received a message from Lisa, asking for assistance with the rental process for her house. I informed her that I was occupied and couldn't get involved in such matters. She continued to text me, claiming she was lonely and that her life had become miserable. Essentially, she was trying to portray herself as a victim. I can assure you that I ignored her messages as if they were spam, but she persisted in reaching out. I was taken by surprise when she started flirting with me, sending romantic emojis and heart icons. I expressed my discomfort and asked her to stop. She insisted on staying in touch as friends, but I explained that I already had a friend in Sophie at home, and I didn't need another. She backed off briefly, but then sent me some romantic posts and reels again. I warned her that I would block her if she continued, mentioning that my wife, Sophie, was uncomfortable with our communication, and I didn't want to upset her. She stopped after that. Last week marked my anniversary, and I planned something special for Sophie. I arranged a surprise trip to the Bahamas, capturing her reaction when I revealed the destination and sharing it on social media. We stayed in a luxurious beachside royal suite, enjoyed a candlelight dinner in the woods, indulged in a floating breakfast buffet on the water, and experienced various romantic activities in the Caribbean. I'm not usually active on social media, but this time, I posted pictures with heartfelt captions. Yes, partly to show Lisa. I don't mind if people consider me immature, but I did it to make sure Lisa understood that I was genuinely happy with Sophie. And you know what? It worked. After seeing those photos, Lisa never reached out to me again. In fact, she unfollowed me on all social media platforms. I was relieved that she did. Hopefully, she won't bother me anymore. Update. Hello, and thank you for all the well wishes. Yes, our trip to the Bahamas was fantastic. Regarding my current situation, I had hoped that Lisa would take the hint and not trouble me further, but I was mistaken. Just a few days ago, she appeared at my office again. When my assistant informed me about her presence, I intentionally made her wait for a couple of hours. In our previous encounters, I had met her right away, which might have sent the wrong signal. When I finally met her, I acted busy and didn't pay much attention to her words. She was once again in tears, claiming her life was falling apart and she couldn't properly care for her children. I asked her to get to the point quickly because I was short on time. Her face turned red, clearly unhappy with my tone. She came straight to the point, requesting money. Sophie had warned me that Lisa's financial requests should not become a pattern, and it seemed like she was making demands rather than asking. She mentioned needing a house or at least $100K. While my income was good, a house or that much money was still a significant sum. I informed her that I couldn't provide her with a house or that amount of money. She mentioned needing around $60–70K to restart her life, including buying a house, covering other expenses, and enrolling her children in school. I'm not sure if she felt like she deserved my money. I told her I sympathized with her, but that didn't mean she could demand whatever she wanted. I don't owe her anything, do I? After all, she was the one who left me for a new and different lifestyle. Her demand made me really angry. I questioned how she could feel entitled to my money and how I was responsible for her life. I had helped her before out of kindness, nothing more. She started crying when I mentioned the charity aspect. I was fed up with her dramatics. I no longer felt sorry for her. I had already given her enough money to rent a house and look for a job, but she hadn't done that. When she finished crying, she suddenly grabbed my hand and asked, "You didn't mean what you said about it being charity, right?" I told her I meant every word. To me, it was nothing but an act of charity. She sobbed and claimed, "I know you're lying, you still love me." I pushed her hand away and warned her never to touch me again. I made it clear that I loved only Sophie and my daughter. I let out my pent-up anger and gave her a piece of my mind. I reminded her that she had chosen a younger partner over me, belittling my feelings and emotions. She had made her decision, and now she had to live with it. She stood up and accused me of humiliating her when she had come seeking help. I told her I was done with her victim act. I had done everything I could to assist her. Now she was attempting to take advantage of me, and I wouldn't allow her to manipulate me and jeopardize my marriage. I made it clear that I wasn't blind to her intentions. She stormed out of my office after this exchange. I shouted at her not to show her face to me again. She didn't respond but slammed my office door behind her. It seemed like she hadn't learned humility from her misery, but that was her choice. As for me, I'm finished with her. I've instructed my reception desk not to allow Lisa inside the office anymore. If she tries to enter, she'll be turned away. I've also blocked her on all communication platforms. There's no way for her to contact me. I have a wonderful life, touchwood, with Sophie and my daughter, and I won't let my past ruin it.
All right, that was a fun story. Now let's move on to another exciting one. Stay tuned and let's dive in.
Second story. I can't believe I'm caught up in a situation like this. I haven't actually spoken to anyone about what happened, even though many people are trying to talk to me. I think I just need to let off some steam before discussing it with anyone. My girlfriend and I were together for 4 years, and we were engaged to be married. Last weekend, she had her bachelorette party, and I didn't have any issues with it, especially after hearing what the plan was. She and some friends were going to rent an Airbnb or something similar, a spacious place with about 4 bedrooms, just to have a wild party and hang out. On the day of the party, she was at my place, a 2-bedroom apartment where one room serves as my home office. I work as a self-employed investor. She took care of all the arrangements and then went to meet her friends. We exchanged a few texts, but as the party got going, our messages stopped, and I assumed they were just having a good time. After midnight, I started getting ready for bed, and noticed that the computer in my office wasn't turned off. The screen was just displaying a screensaver. It turns out my fiancée hadn't logged out, and her messenger was still open on the computer. There was a group chat where she and her friends had been planning everything, and they had uploaded several videos to the chat. I got a bit curious and started watching some of the videos. Most of them were pretty innocent, just a group of 15 girls getting drunk, smoking, dancing, and having fun. Then I came across a video where a woman went to the front door, and about 10 guys entered the apartment. I didn't know any of them, and I couldn't recognize anyone. There were a couple of videos showing the guys and girls dancing and drinking. Then the worst part happened. there was a video of my fiancée making out with one guy on the sofa. She stopped and rolled over, then started making out with a second guy. Following that, there was a video of her and the two guys going into a bedroom. There was also a video of them coming out, although the timestamps indicated it was just 5 minutes later. But that didn't mean much. For all I knew, those videos could have been taken an hour apart and uploaded together. Seeing all of this hit me like a sledgehammer. I went into the bathroom because I thought I was going to be sick, even though I wasn't. I felt like I paced back and forth in the apartment for about 30 minutes. Then I poured myself a glass of whiskey and downed it. I saved the videos and made one of my own, a short selfie video where I said, "Hi, this is my name, your ex-fiancé. I just wanted to say that I saw the videos from the party and the wedding is off. I hope it was worth it." I'm relieved I saved the videos because they were all deleted in less than 10 minutes, and my phone started buzzing with calls and texts. I chose not to answer any of them. Initially, it was just my girlfriend texting, saying she can explain and that it's not what it appeared to be. Then, her friends started chiming in as well. However, I ignored everyone and didn't respond. Suddenly, I received a request for a video chat, and I must admit my curiosity got the best of me. I accepted the call but remained silent. It was my fiancée on the other end, sitting in front of the camera, looking like she had been crying, with her friends surrounding her. I only really know about 4 of her friends, but I recognized many others. She began by apologizing repeatedly, insisting that it wasn't what it seemed, and that it was just a party. She claimed the guys showing up was unplanned. She acknowledged that it might have looked bad, but nothing actually happened. When I stayed silent, she continued in a similar vein, and her friends backed up her story. The more I remained quiet, the more frantic she became. Eventually, she admitted to kissing the 2 guys, but shifted the blame onto her friends, who surprisingly took responsibility for it. She argued that the kisses didn't mean anything, and that was the extent of it. Then she seemed to recall the video of her going into the bedroom and started shouting that it was merely a joke and that nothing happened. The other women echoed her, confirming that it was indeed just a prank, and my fiancé had walked into the room and promptly walked out again. This went on and on with them repeating themselves. Finally, everyone fell silent, and all I asked was if there was anything else to add. She said no, and I ended the video call. I went on social media and updated my relationship status to single, along with a post announcing the cancellation of the wedding. I even jokingly mentioned that if anyone had bought a gift, they were welcome to return it. My fiancé saw the post and started panicking even more, insisting that she had only kissed someone, nothing more. I sent her a text, warning that if I suspected her or any of her friends were lying or trying to paint me as the villain, I would post all the videos online. Right now, no one else is aware of what's happening. This all happened a couple of days ago, and I've since canceled everything related to the wedding. However, my fiancé continues to pursue me. Any advice on what I should do next? Update. The update is quite straightforward. Everything has been called off and canceled. The wedding is officially not happening. I've retrieved the ring, and all of her belongings are now moved out. She's currently staying with her parents. We did have a conversation, mostly consisting of her begging, apologizing, and crying. She keeps insisting that all she did was kiss those guys. She claims she's never done anything like this before and promises it won't happen again. Part of me wanted to believe her, but the issue is that this incident has cast doubt on our entire relationship. While I think she may be telling the truth, the real problem is that there's no way to know for sure. If it's true that her friends pressured her into it, then how can I trust that they've never done it before? We went in circles because ultimately, there's no way to be certain. She offered to do anything, including cutting ties with her friends and only drinking around me. She publicly criticized her friends online, saying that if the party had stuck to the original plan, we would still be getting married. So perhaps she has already distanced herself from them. All I can say for now is that I'm single, and I plan to focus on living my life. I'll likely take some time for myself after ending a 4-year relationship. What's astonishing is that a couple of her friends have also been texting me just to talk. I haven't responded yet because, well, it's hard to trust them too. Thanks again to everyone who expressed sympathy, and I hope none of you have to deal with something like this in the future.